to people.
I don't really have anything for Mark, so in fact, I was away for a while. Don't have to see the municipality was here when I got home. All was good. Can I get a mover and a seconder to reconvene into open session? Councillor Chartrand, Councillor Deal. That the council of the municipality of Huron East reconvene into open session at 6:01 p.m. All those in favor? And motion carries. Council went into closed session to discuss personal matters about identifiable individuals in litigation or potential litigation matters. We would like to acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the neutral peoples. Can I get a mover and a seconder for confirmation of the agenda, please? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Wilby, that the agenda for the regular meeting of council dated June 9th of 2026 be adopted as circulated. All those in favor? And motion carries. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest from any member of council at this time? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder for the minutes from the previous meetings? Councillor Morrison and Councillor Dalton. That the council of the municipality of Huron East approve the following council meeting minutes as circulated since the regular meeting of June 9th of 2026 and the Committee of Adjustment public hearing May 26th of 2026. Any comments or questions on those minutes as presented? All those in favor? And motion carries. There's a number of items listed under the consent agenda. Are there any that anyone would like to have pulled at this time? Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I remember correctly, 3, 7, 9, 12, please. They're all good ideas, so let's just move them.
Support for the sustainable provincial grant funding for fire services on Ontario.
That's number 3. Yep.
Yeah. Steve, did you read that?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, Councillor Fisher, when I read it, it was for half of the cost of training.
When I got on my wafer was not too explicit, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. At least when I read it, I read it as it was a request that the province start paying for 50% of all the training costs for firefighters.
I'd be concerned.
My only concern with that is that seems kind of open-ended when you set it up that way for people to jury rig the books or anything else. How much time did you actually spend doing training or what was required? I don't have a problem that the fact that the province sets the rules of what we have to do and asking them to pay a portion of it is fine. I thought it was kind of vague in the way they listed it. That's my only comment. Now, if the rest of the council wants to go along with it, that's fine. Do I have a seconder for supporting that one? Councillor Charter? Okay. Any other comments or questions on it? All those in favor? Motion carries. And number 7, Prince Edward County Municipality Shareholder escalating percentages of public health unit costs.
I think that's happening with us, isn't it? With you here in Perth having to do cutbacks because we don't have the funding. And you alluded to that last year, Mr. Mayor.
We actually have done cutbacks for at least 2, if not 3 years.
Yeah.
The cutbacks were only because what had happened was the province, we've been begging forever to let us know what increase we were going to get in future years. So they came back to us and said, not a problem. The next 3 years, you get 1%. Unfortunately, 1%, which is supposed to be half of the budget, didn't quite cut the cost of payroll and everything else.
3-4% inflation, that's going a long way, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. There is a shortcoming there, although it was the staff that came back to us. It was not the board that made the recommendations on the cuts. And at our last board meeting, we had the discussion about whether we felt we were still running properly, and management seems to think we are. So I'm not sure that some of the cuts weren't a little bit of gravy. Nice to have, but not necessary. But I certainly don't have a problem with the province stepping up, because 1% is not sustainable for sure. Seconded by Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I just want to speak to that. It looks like I thought in the correspondence, I thought they were talking about keeping up for a year at 2.4% with inflation. So I mean, 2.4 is better than 1%, but I know it's not enough yet, but it's in the right direction though.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion? And motion carries. Number 9 was Clearview Township vacant commercial storefront tax.
Yeah, that one, we are working towards that, CAO, aren't we?
We're we're working towards it'd be more of a user fee through our fees and charges bylaw, a registration system, not a tax per se. So it wouldn't have to be through the municipal act through an additional tax, but something to offset the vacant storefronts in Huron East.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to take note of it or get some discussion on maybe if that's something we could do, or are they asking for provincial mandate on that?
They were asking for the province to actually make changes because they can't do what they want to do, although they do feel it's appropriate for municipalities to have the ability to do that. So
we concur on that.
yeah, so we could get rid of what we call the absentee landlord problem that we have in certain locations. So I think all they were asking for when I read it was they just wanted support, because they're the ones going to the province, trying to get the province to change the rules.
I would go for that then. Thank you.
Okay. Second by Councillor Morrison. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. And number 12, Northeastern, Manitoulin and the Islands funding for Ontario hospitals.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one, the shortfall that the shortfall in rural support, or whatever you want to call it. I don't think we're getting our fair dollar compared to the cities when it comes to healthcare funding from the province.
I have a second. Councillor Golden. All those in favor? And motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other items? Councillor Schiffman.
Yeah, 8.6, the letter from the province on the regional consolidation of the conservations. Just for the record, at our last board meeting at the Sabo Baco Conservation, the board of directors selected myself as chair and Gavin Heinbach as general manager to be the representation on these regional meetings. So we've had one dry run with our local group brainstorming, but we haven't had an official transition meeting as of yet. So each conservation is selecting 2 members to be part of this transition for feedback, trying to get as much local input as possible. So
Denise, I couldn't remember the actual dollar value. I know it was $300-some thousand that Huron East put in to the Conservation Authority. And I was reading my county information for tomorrow. They claim that because it's no longer the lower tiers, but the upper tiers that are going to be paying the bill, that it's going to increase the county budget by 2.4%. And I do believe Huron East pays, it's somewhere around 18% of the county budget because of our size of population. How would that equate to the $315,000 that we paid?
to Maitland and Sandra.
Yeah.
There's a whole question about how the levy will be even calculated, because it's going to be calculated at the county level, I think, rather than the local level.
that's the documentation that we're receiving a presentation tomorrow from the treasury at the county.
So it'll be interesting to see.
But at the end of the day, if the numbers work out the same, it really shouldn't affect us. If we're just paying them instead of paying them.
And my assumption is they would take into account that weighted assessment that they use to allocate it out to us, that would be a factor in that calculation.
So you just wanted to comment, Ray, or
Mhm.
nothing else? Okay. Are there any other items that anybody would like to pull this time, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's 8.5, I haven't got the numbers mixed up, and it's just, calls for the province to reduce ER times for, kids, 18 years old. To be, within 2 hours, if you looked at it, in 8 hours, to be admitted to the hospital. I think it's called Finley's Law is what they were trying to pass to stop that, so I'd like to support that. I think it was the Western Ontario wardens that were working on that, I believe. I'd like to support that.
8.4.
That one altogether.
8.4.
8.4.
It's 8.5
Yeah,
on one,
8.4.
8.4 on the other.
8.5 was the dental daycare.
Right, yeah, 8.5 on my notes here says
Oh.
regarding consent. So,
Okay.
but you're right, it's still what everyone, it's mixed up on my screen here, but
Okay, so that is a request for support of 8.4. Do I have a second? Councillor Dalton, or Beal, sorry. And if there's no other questions, all those in favor? Motion carries. Are there any others? We've almost got them all there. Okay, seeing that, can I get a mover and a seconder to accept the items that have not been dealt with under the consent agenda? Councillor Deal, Councillor Wilby, the consent agenda items 8.1 to 8.13 be received for information if not already dealt with. All those in favor? And motion carries. So we're down to number 9, public meetings, hearings, and delegations. And the first one is Keepwater Bethel Bible Church porta potty in the park funding request. And who is coming forward to speak?
I keep loader. Thank you for accepting this. I have a quote for the porta potty for the month, so July months. 2 months. Requesting if you could meet that. That amount is $203.40 a month.
And that is taxes included then? Because I think the other number I saw was 180.
That's taxes included, yes.
Okay. Normally, when we get a request like this, it's a discussion. We don't have it during the delegation. The delegation is for members of the public to come and present anything that they want to council that's appropriate. Council can ask questions, but we don't normally make the decision during the delegation. We do it as an act of council later on in the meeting. Is there anything that you would like to add other than what was already in the report that you had there?
Well, other than we'll be having church in the park for the summer. And porta potty does get used by us, plus it gets used by other people walking by. And it does get quite a bit of use, people on their walk. Stop, it's halfway for a lot of people if they have to get in trouble, they like they have something to do.
Are there any questions of members of council? Councillor Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did we've done this previously,
Yes.
subsidized this, I think,
Yes, every summer we have a grant vote.
and we've subsidized it.
I'm not sure. I was never on that part of the council.
I thought am I mistaken? I thought we had.
We have paid for the porta potty in previous years, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your delegation. Yeah, you can. I think we've already got everything.
You want me to wait until after?
Oh, that's up to you. We're happy to have you stay for the whole meeting. Next, we have a public meeting for zoning amendment on 76 Sports Drive. And not for 2 weeks.
Jen is participating virtually tonight, so she'll be able to present that once we just approve the public zoning meeting.
Now I get a mover and a seconder to adjourn this portion. Moved by Councilor Morrison, second by Councilor Fisher, that the council of the municipality of Huron East adjourn the regular meeting of council at 6:15 PM to go into a public meeting to discuss the following: zoning bylaw amendment Z02 of 2026-76, Sports Drive, Brussels, bracket Feeney. All those in favor? And motion carries. And can I get a mover and a seconder to accept the agenda for the public meeting? Councilor Chartrand, Councilor Newell, that the agenda for the public meeting dated June 9th of 2026 be adopted as circulated. All those in favor? And motion carries. And I turn this over to our planner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
I don't think we can hear you, Jen.
Oh, okay.
There
Can you
you
hear me now?
go. Nope,
Nope.
still can't.
How about now? No?
Headphones.
Can you hear me now? Shoot.
No.
Can you hear me now?
Let me.
Hey Jen, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so I can hear you, but they can't hear us, and I don't know why.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to do.
No, that's okay. I think we just have to wait for them to figure it out.
Okay.
David, are you there as
Megan
well?
can hear her, but you know what? Try that.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
I don't think they can hear us still.
You just.
I don't. Can you hear me now? No.
Get something.
Can you hear me now?
Ours.
Not just turn down. It shows the camera, but it doesn't show anything.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Ask her like drop down by her microphone, what's selected. You hear that, Jen?
I
You have to
heard
go to
that.
your microphone, Jen, just to make
You
sure
drop
what's
down?
selected in case your headphones were still connected. Is there a different option for you to select?
No, she's shaking her head no.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, this is the.
Oh, no.
I can try and read your slides for you. You can message if they're not correct.
Okay. Sorry.
She call you on your phone or just on speakerphone?
Yes, let's do that. Thank you. Oops.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think you're good.
Okay, 1 sec. Sorry about all of this. Megan can hear me, so I don't know what's going on, but Anyways, okay, so thank you everyone, and hope everyone can hear me okay now. I apologize for the technical glitches. Tonight we have a few planning applications. First one being Z02 of 2026, our zoning bylaw amendment. And so this zoning bylaw amendment is located at 76 Sports Drive, which is right on the corner of Sports Drive and Ainley Street in Brussels. The purpose of this application is to rezone 76 Sports Drive from R1 to R2-21, which is our residential medium density special zone. The intended use will be to permit a 3-unit townhouse and recognize Sports Drive as the front yard, and then also allow a 55% lot coverage for the middle unit. We're going to also propose to reduce the side yard setback from 6 meters to 5 meters and the rear yard from 7.5 to 6 meters. Just the applicant has asked for a little bit of extra space just to make sure that they're able to have a little bit of wiggle room once they get to the building stage. All other zoning provisions remain unchanged. Here is the proposed site plan that is provided by the applicant. So there's Ainley Street there and Sports Drive, which would be considered the front yard. And it's going to be a 3-unit row house. So this is an image of the row house that's been provided by the applicant. It looks quite good in my opinion. And this is what is being proposed to be built should the rezoning application be approved. From a policy perspective, the existing R1 zone actually already does permit up to 4 units. But in this case, the main impetus for requiring a rezoning was the fact that it's located on a corner lot. And generally speaking, the shorter lot line of the two would have to be considered the front yard setback. But in this case, due to the configuration, it made more sense for Sports Drive to be considered the front yard. And then the additional zone provisions that have been added in are to allow for a little bit more flexibility should they do part lot control, just making sure that everything meets each individual. Just making sure each unit meets the individual zone provisions should they be separate. The application aligns with the residential designation and our mixed form of housing goals, and also is consistent with the provincial policy statement encouraging efficient land use and gentle intensification. As I mentioned, it is in the grand scheme, I guess, pretty minor zone changes. That will ensure practical and compatible development on an existing corner lot within the village of Brussels. We have received one letter of objection from a neighbor at 60 King Street. This letter was received yesterday, so council has not had the privilege of seeing the letter in their agenda package as we just got it. But in summary, the letter outlines concerns with the loss of trees and neighborhood character. It views the changes being proposed as reducing green space and increasing environmental impact. The concerned person also prefers a duplex instead of the triplex with the original setbacks maintained. She also requested that we protect the remaining tree and add in some new trees as well once the development is finalized. As for the response to the comments, this is a public meeting, and council should be considering all comments prior to making any final decisions. I did speak with the applicant regarding the concerns, and they have committed to planting 3 new trees after all of the grading is complete. Unfortunately, the one tree that is still on the lot will need to be removed once the grading needs to happen. Staff acknowledge the concerns and agree that it is unfortunate anytime that we need to lose some trees, but are pleased to hear that the applicant is willing to plant some new trees once everything is done. Staff also view this proposal as appropriate gentle intensification on our existing services. And other than the configuration of the lot, really, it does sort of meet the goals of what we're going for in our urban settlement areas. So it is recommended that council approve zoning bylaw amendment 02 of 2026 to rezone the lands from R1 to R2-21. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Are there any comments or questions from members of council this time? Seeing none. Are there any comments or questions from members of the public? Look back. And nobody's online?
Not for this application, no.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the applicant themselves? No, okay. And then the recommendations will be presented following the regular meeting. And I get a mover and a seconder to close the public portion of the meeting. Councillor Deal, Councillor Fisher, that the public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment be closed at 6:26 p.m. All those in favor? And motion carries. The zoning motion, that council concurs with the planning report presented and recommends bylaw 60 of 2026 for approval. Under 10.1.
That's the motion to come out of this public meeting. That would be the motion for the zoning application we just considered.
Okay, and did I get a mover and a seconder already? No.
Not that I believe.
Councillor Chartrand and Councillor or Deputy Mayor. So that council concurs with the planning report just presented. All in favor? Motion carries. And then planning report 30 of 2026, 600 Flashlight Street, Brussels. And the motion is that council has no objection to consent application 30 of 2026, provided the conditions as outlined in the planning report are met. I think I better go back to the planner and let her present it to me. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so yes, now we have consent application C 30 of 2026. The owner and applicant is Kevin Talbot for Huron Storage, and the property is located at 600 Fishley Street in Brussels. So here is an air photo of the subject property. The property is located right at the corner of Fishley Street and Jackson Street in Brussels. There is an existing house on the north end of the parcel, and the south end of the parcel is currently vacant. Here is a sketch of the proposed severed parcel. And so part one shows the existing house, and part two, the property or the proposed property to the south there is proposed to be developed with a duplex. So the severed parcel on the south there will be approximately 720 square meters. And as I mentioned, will accommodate the development of a duplex dwelling. The retained parcel will continue to accommodate the existing house, and no proposed changes to that house at this time. The property will be approximately 807 square meters in size. The site is designated residential in the Huron East official plan and is zoned R1 in the Huron East zoning bylaw. So no concerns from a designation or zoning perspective at this time. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement. It conforms to the Huron County official plan, conforms to the Huron East official plan, and meets the provisions of the Huron East zoning bylaw. The severance is considered to be appropriate and is consistent, as I mentioned, with all of our policies, and is recommended to be approved with the standard conditions. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jen? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder to accept? Moved by Councillor Wilby, second by Councillor Newell. All those in favor? And motion carries. And the last one, Jen, is planning report, information report for the draft plan of subdivision.
Yes. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so we have an information report tonight for the Cranbrook plan of subdivision. And sorry, 1 second here. The owner and applicant is Cranbrook Estates, and they're on Zoom this evening. Should council have questions at the end of my presentation. The property is located at 43810 Cranbrook Road, obviously the village or settlement area of Cranbrook. Here's an air photo showing the subject land. So the lands do abut both Cranbrook Road and McNabb line. So application details. The purpose of this draft plan of subdivision application is to permit the development of a residential subdivision. The proposed draft plan consists of 36 single detached residential lots, 1 stormwater management block, 2 public park blocks, and the subdivision is proposed to be developed in 2 phases. So phase 1 would include 13 residential lots number 1 to 13, and a new road connecting to McNabb line and terminating in an interim cul-de-sac. And then phase 2 would include the remaining lots and be accessed by extending the phase 1 road and constructing an additional road connection to Cranbrook Road. During phase number 1, lot number 8 would be used for stormwater management purposes. When phase 2 is developed, a permanent stormwater management facility would be constructed on block number 37. At that time, the temporary pond on lot number 8 would be decommissioned and the lot would be converted into a residential building lot. And blocks 38 and 39 are currently proposed to be used as public parkland. If the lands to the west of phase number 2 are developed in the future, then block 39 would need to accommodate a road to provide a second access to that future development. At the time of this application, the lands consist of 2 separate land holdings owned by 2 different parties, and the applicant has entered into agreements of purchase and sale with both landowners to acquire the subject lands. So here's the draft plan of subdivision that has been submitted on the screen here. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but phase 1 is the part that is directly to McNabb line, and then phase 2 would be accessed both by McNabb line, but also Cranbrook Road. So a summary of the comments received. A total of 12 independent submissions have been made from the members of the public regarding the proposed subdivision. The submissions have raised a range of concerns related to the application, generally focused on servicing capacity, groundwater protection, stormwater, traffic, pedestrian safety, growth impacts, environmental considerations, construction impacts, and the parkland provision. Council was provided with a chart outlining all of the concerns that were received and a summary of the staff responses. I will go through some of the concerns and sort of what the response has been to date right now. So as I say, there were a number of concerns that have been raised, which is sort of the reason for tonight's information report for council to sort of understand how the neighbors are feeling about this, but also how staff and the applicant, as well as our engineering and legal review, have been involved in trying to resolve the concerns that have been raised to date. I'm not going to read through all of these as they were provided to council, but I would say that some of the bigger concerns, quote unquote, or more sort of outstanding concerns would be stormwater and drainage. Again, though, these items are all subject to detailed engineering review, which generally happens after the draft plan approval, and are subject to detailed review both by BM Ross and the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority. Runoff always needs to be directed to an appropriate legal outlet. Then the other sort of outstanding concern, I would say, would be the parkland and recreation concern. There's been concerns raised about the size and the usability of the parkland. And staff have asked the applicant and currently working with him as far as providing a detailed park plan with appropriate amenity space, just to ensure that the park is usable and people want to go there and enjoy the space. So we are working through some of those concerns with the applicant. Otherwise, I would say that many of the concerns that were raised by members of the public were they were very valid concerns. But also many of them have been addressed through the detailed engineering review and will continue to be addressed as the process would move forward. So yeah, as far as the application status and next steps goes, the majority of the issues have been addressed both through planning and engineering. As I mentioned, some of the outstanding items are the parkland and drainage, and those will continue to be addressed, and then also will be included in the subdivision agreement, which is registered on title. Following this report tonight, staff will continue to work with the applicant and just ensure that everything is in order, and then a recommendation report would be brought forward to council with proposed conditions to ensure that all concerns and everything have been satisfied. Following the recommendation report, and if Huron East Council were to provide a recommendation, another staff report would be brought forward to Huron County for draft plan approval. And then if the application would be approved, the conditions would have to be satisfied prior to registration. This subdivision agreement, which comes after draft plan approval, is the legal agreement between both the developer and Huron East, and it secures a wide range of things, including our infrastructure, parkland, design standards, and does ensure that all conditions and requirements are implemented before prior registration takes place. So many of the concerns have already been addressed. Will be ensured that they are addressed and continue to be addressed through the subdivision agreement. So that's all I have as far as information goes. I'm happy to answer any questions. And as I mentioned, a recommendation report would be coming at a future date. Thank you.
Yeah, so this motion is just to receive the report for information, but since Jen is presenting, if anybody has any questions, they can ask them now. Go ahead, Councillor Fisher.
Yeah, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Jen, please, is there any plans, Jen, to have a community water system or a community sewage system when there's 36 lots, that 36 septic tanks and 36 wells? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Is there anything in the works along that line?
Yeah, so a functional servicing report was done by the applicant's engineers and peer reviewed by Huron engineers through BM Ross, and it was determined that unfortunately private septic and private well was the only sort of feasible way to service the development. And in saying that, two studies were done. So there's a hydrogeology study to confirm that the amount of land is appropriate for private septic systems based on a conventional septic system for each lot. So it will be, or as proposed, it is proposed to be private wells and private septic, all of which have been reviewed by both the applicant's engineer and Huron East's engineer.
Recourse, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You alluded to the fact then that lot 38 or 39 might be a roadway to further expansion, which means more septic tanks and more wells. Unless there's a heck of an aquifer there, this doesn't seem tenable to me. Has that been taken into consideration at all, or not?
Yeah, so currently at this time, the road, quote unquote, stub, which would be lot 38 or 39, would only become a road should all of the studies and work be done on any of the future lands to the east there. At this time, there's no proposals, and there's no we're not having anyone knocking down our doors to be developing the lands to the east. But just in case, long into the future, we only have one opportunity to put a road stub in and make a plan for it. And so that is why that is currently in this plan, but it will function as park space until and if, I guess I would say, those lands would ever be developed into the long term.
You mentioned stormwater management plan. If there's no sewers and sewer infrastructure, where's the water going to go from the stormwater pond?
Yeah, so there's still, my understanding will be stormwater. There's going to be stormwater infrastructure, and all of that would be detailed in the engineered stormwater plan, which again is prepared by the applicant's engineer and peer reviewed by our engineer as well.
That will all come to us in the future.
Yes.
Thank you very much, then. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other member of council? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Jen. Jen, if you can hear me, what is the average lot size of these lots?
It's a good question. Just give me 1 second. I have that here. Sorry, 1 sec. Was it? Okay, just 1 second here. So the average lot size is about half an acre, so 0.52 acres, which is approximately 2,096 square meters.
Okay, no, that's good on that. The other thing, I believe you talked with Mr. Fisher about the drainage aspect of it. So from the storm water pond, would the water then be exited towards the river? Because the river's close by, right?
That's correct, and all of that would be determined through the detailed engineering review. I know the applicant is on the call. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear him, but he may be able to provide some further insight on the nuts and bolts of.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I was just thinking it would make sense for the water to end up in the river. If I may further, so will there be sidewalks in this development or not, or just roads?
My understanding is that it will be a typical urban cross section, but there is no provision at this time for sidewalks. And that has been reviewed by the Director of Public Works as well as our engineer. And my understanding is sidewalks are currently not being proposed.
Thank you. If I may, another one. Will there be any sort of buffering with trees? Because this is quite the size of a development. And there will be construction over a number of years. Is there any way there could be some buffering with trees, either to prevent like extra lights at nights and stuff, noise from the construction going on? Was that taken into consideration, or it's maybe something the applicant might look at as well?
Yeah, so that's something that we could look at through the subdivision agreement that would be registered on title. At this time, I'm not aware of any buffering proposed during the construction phase, but it is something that we could chat about for sure with the applicant and staff.
And my final one is that I get a lot of questions about us taking agricultural land out of production, build houses. But this, from what I understand, there is an old subdivision, is there, that Cranbrook was laid out for future development or future residential? Is that correct?
Yeah, so this property here that we're talking about is designated and zoned for residential development. So while obviously it looks and acts like a farm today, the land use planning decisions, quote unquote, as to what was going to happen with this land happened a very long time ago when that land was already designated and zoned. And yeah, I mean, I agree with the concern of agricultural land loss, but in this situation, there's no official plan designation changes, there's no zoning changes. Everything is already in place for residential development, and that decision would have been made years ago.
Okay, thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Any other member of council that has questions? I noticed there was someone at the back that was standing up. They're either going to ask a question or a comment. I just want to let you know, this is not the public portion of a meeting. This is just information for council at this stage. Council isn't even making any decision on anything tonight. All we're doing is just receiving information. Further down the process of this development, there will become a meeting that is actually open for public comment at that time. So members of the public can come and comment, but tonight is not that meeting.
Actually, if I can just clarify, there's no longer a public meeting for subdivision plans for the Planning Act. However, there's always the option to register as a delegation ahead of the meeting, and you would be provided the 10 minutes to speak to council.
Okay. Okay. So this report is just for information purposes only. That's why council is allowed to ask questions. We're not making a decision on anything at this time. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Actually, this is just for information, so I don't even need a motion.
No.
Okay, so there is no motion to even be had. We're on to number 11, municipal drains. Section 4 petition. Thanks, Jen. Nash Municipal Drain. And can I get a mover and a seconder for the motion that reads that council accept the petition for a new branch to the Nash Municipal Drain and appoint Dietrich Engineering to prepare a drainage report? Move by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Wilby. All those in favor? And motion carried. Reports and recommendations of municipal officers. The fire communication report. Is there anything you want to expand on?
I don't think so unless anybody has any questions in regards to it, so.
Okay. Can I get a mover and a
My
seconder?
question, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Thank you. Steve, are we buying software and paying a fee for forever on this, or is it just a one time?
No, this is the one time.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, the repeater towers that you're talking about, that would still have nothing to do if there was something to be adjusted, corrected, or installed for the alarm system or the siren?
It has nothing to do with it.
And nothing, it is just for communication on the trucks and the.
Yeah, so right now, our communications is just direct, the ones on dispatch. This will allow the communication to bounce off that tower back over trucks. Right now, our trucks can't really talk to each other when they're in outside of urban areas. So that's gonna fix that problem, and we've kind of already fixed our portable radio issues.
Okay.
Honestly, so this is just the last piece of our communications hopefully, and we're done with that, so.
Okay, thank you. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Fisher and Councillor Steffler, the council approved the sole source of the communications project to Department Communication for approximately 60,000. We had already approved part of this already, hadn't we?
60,000 is in the budget.
It's in the budget.
Yeah, but we'd already paid 2/3 of this, right? Or not?
Yeah, we paid,
Two out of three invoices.
yeah, we paid a little portion of it, just with some of the infrastructure we've been doing, trucks, like $1,500 pieces here and there. We've done those pieces, but we haven't done the bigger one, so that's what this is, just kind of a information of it, so.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? And motion carries. 12.2 industrial, commercial and institutional recycling transition. Who wants to talk on this one?
There's a lot much more to say than Michelle did the last council meeting. This is just the decision of ultimately how we're gonna fund it if we're going to continue to offer the service. So not offering the service is an option that's available as well.
I do have a comment unless council wants to go first.
Offer the service.
And that was my first take on it, Councillor Fisher. It wasn't my last take. And the reason was this, I tried to think of a scenario where it became unfair. And even though I'm allowed garbage pickup at the place in Brisfield, I get a bit. It's just simple, it's convenient, and I just consider it a cost of business. If you had a business in town that had a lot of packaging, are we going to supply more and more wheelie bins or bins for them to put it in? I realize the benefit of us supplying it and paid for by everybody is possibly better for the environment. But what if it was a paint factory? Are we gonna pay to make sure that they're properly disposing of their chemicals and stuff like that? At what point does industry have to be responsible for itself? Doing all the households made perfect sense. I didn't necessarily agree with subsidizing individual business that is adding to the tax base. That was just my comment. When I started out, I was like Councillor Fisher, yeah, I think we should just pick it up and that would be best overall, but the more I thought about it, it's not necessarily the right thing to do for everybody else. Councillor Chartrand.
So why should the entire municipality pick up the cost? Why doesn't it, let's just go to each business owner?
That is the point I make.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think Now, the other thing is, like, right now around town, we have two huge recycle bins behind here. There's two recycle bins, gigantic ones behind the information center that belong to the municipality. And I see a lot of people bringing their cardboard and stuff there. I don't know if you're gonna charge the owners, they may say, I'll pass, but then they'll bring their stuff in these bins. How do you stop that?
I'm not sure that I can.
Another thing, they might just put everything in the garbage.
Well, yeah.
And just maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, I do think council might have the authority to mandate every commercial property to get to have the red bin, or at least get charged for a red bin. So you could, I think, pass a bylaw that, so then that would encourage them to have the bin regardless if they're gonna get the annual $160 fee. Similar to what we do currently with residential properties in the wheelie bin.
Right.
The mandate that whether you have it or not, you get charged for the wheelie bin, so it encourages you to have.
I certainly like that idea. You know, I don't mind paying for both the recycling bin and the garbage bin. They use them every week. Actually really happy that we fill the recycling one as much as we do. And I have a hard time believing that there's many businesses out there that wouldn't fill one of these other bins if we have it. Why shouldn't they pay their fair share? That's my opinion. Still need a motion from council on what to do going forward, but
I think most businesses are anticipating the fact that we're gonna force you to take that bin, just like we did with the garbage ones. And like, you weren't here for the last meeting when she did the presentation. So this year, there's no charge at all for 2026, when 2027. I believe that we should be letting them take the bins and charge them, whether they use it or not. It's up to them, but if you're charging them for them, they're more apt to use the bin, right? So.
I bet you we still don't use it in Bruceville. It's too convenient having the big bin in the backyard,
Well,
and I'm not gonna roll it out to the highway.
We had a few farmers come here as a delegation, when we were enforcing the garbage bins, and they said same thing, like, I got this gigantic bin. They just park the other one and they don't use it, but it's one for all, they're still paying for it, right?
Right. Deputy Mayor, you had a comment?
Yeah, I think it's up to, Huron needs to promote recycling as best we can. And I mean, it's not our decision to do this or do a lot of recycling either. It's the government's decision. That's why we're stuck in this. So, yeah, I think we, go with option 2. I'd like to see done.
Sorry, I read the whole thing, but I can't remember which option was which.
Well, that was charging people for the bin.
Right, 3 options.
Yeah, I think if we charge it for it and give them the bin, most people will use it. And that is the responsible thing to do. Go ahead, Larry.
They're using it now because they use recycle bins, and as far as the cardboard, they bring it over here regardless, so these bins are not gonna be big enough to accept the cardboard unless they cut it up in little wee chunks. So how to address the cardboard problem regardless, unless they, so they either get a bigger bin or they throw it in their car or truck or whatever, bring it to the store. And our bins are cardboard, and so you're just looking at their regular garbage in their office building or whatever is what you're looking at. Right, so they have that, to me, all it is because you're a business, we can stiff you a little more money because you're a business, and you can recoup your costs versus the household that, you know. Because they're not gonna produce any more garbage. They're using the bins now and the cardboard's coming over here, and that is not gonna change. Not gonna change. It's like you can't, they have that bin full in about 2 hours, Monday morning.
Nobody breaks things down anywhere, so.
No, that's the other thing, so. But it's just gonna be a charge on the business, but I guess you write it off as expense, it's part of it, right? But even she said, they're forced to put up a wall between business garbage and residential garbage, which is the same garbage. But there has to be a wall there, so we can't get it.
Councilor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whatever way we decide to go, I would really like to lobby the government somehow through AMO or through a letter like we receive on the consent agenda to get the government to expand the recycling part of garbage. They've let so many businesses and build apartments, schools, et cetera, they don't have to recycle. They've let them off the hook with this new whoever makes the garbage picks up the garbage. They don't have to pick it all up. I would like to really try to see if we could get the government to change their thoughts and force the people who make the garbage to handle the garbage.
I agree with you, and we did actually have that delegation request for Roma, I believe, and we were not successful. They were not willing to have that conversation with us, unfortunately. But there's no problem with trying to apply for the same minister and trying to have the same conversation again. Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I believe Michelle from Blue Water Recycling is trying for that in the emo in August, so. I don't know why she's got the delegation yet or not, but I do believe that's what she was gonna try to do, Bob, so.
If you knew and we could go with her, that'd be great.
Yes, for sure, that's what I would set up if she is successful. I was hoping we could do that, so. As soon as I find out for sure, one way or another, I'll let council know.
Councilor McGrath.
So really, it's gonna be just an increase to the cost because you're paying for a blue bin now. So they're gonna be basically rated as, what increase would that be?
$160.
We only charge the wheelie bins, we don't charge, which is the black lidded.
The garbage tax for them, we don't charge recycling.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Then
They use it.
That's not gonna be charged for both.
Councilor Chartrand.
So are we looking for
Direction.
direction today? So I'm thinking we're leaning towards option number 2, which is implement cost recovery. That.
Yeah.
So.
And I think I got a second by the Deputy Mayor. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? And motion carries. Well, 3, Seaport lawn bowling upgrades. That was almost frustrating to read that. So really, what is the question at the end of the day? Do we help them out with their overage? That's what it comes down to, right?
They came as a delegation at that previous meeting at May 12th, for additional funding. To support, yes, more or less at the end of the day, it's their overage.
You know, I read this whole thing and it was like, the municipality did it, the municipality did it, the municipality applied for the grant and also gave them money on top. And they decided, well, let's just do a little bit more and we'll go
On their own.
hand in hat in hand after the fact. I personally don't like the idea of someone saying, I'll beg for forgiveness after the fact when it's taxpayers' dollars that we're handing out. I do not like the idea of paying the bill at this time. Personal comment, Councillor Deal.
In the report, I don't, other than there was one mention of staff time.
In kind for.
Yeah, but there was no mention of the work that John Hill has put in, like how many hours at his rate. Like that's.
John's, that's included in the total amounts for the, for this, project that's happened this year. So of the like 66,000 for the Ease grant portion, that includes John's labor and wages of his time, yeah.
But we're taking him away from
Yeah,
other municipal.
there's
projects.
other.
Exactly, yeah. Councillor Fishing.
Thank you, Mr. I can remember 2 or 3 instances where Winthrop Ballpark needed stuff done and they went out and had a barbecue, raised funds, et cetera, and did a significant amount of the cost themselves. And I don't see this happening with lawn bowling. I thought we had a policy of 50%. And have they contributed anything at all, Ms. Feeney, to all these costs?
We haven't given them an invoice yet, going to wait till everything's all the invoices are paid, so we know exactly what the total is.
They had been
They
doing
have.
door-to-door fundraising, requesting, funds from businesses, and they have obtained, some support. And when they were doing the additional projects, it was brought forward to me, and I had just said that as long as they had the funding for it to cover it, that they could proceed with it. So I'm not really sure where they've gotten themselves into this. And it's not even,
Funding.
it's not even right now, it's not even clear that they don't have the funding. That's not clear, so.
Councilor Short.
One of the things that stuck in my mind, my delegation, was they've got the money in the bank, but they would like to keep it there.
That's what I heard.
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
they, you know, they fundraise and they've got all the money. And they definitely can't come here and say that we haven't taken care of that building over the years, because we have spent a lot of money on that building over the years and not made them pay 50%. So they've got themselves in this jackpot, they need to get themselves out of it. And as far as they had approached here, and they approached our group for $30,000 for windows and doors. But if they wanna do that next year in 2027 budget, then they need to work with Lisa and maybe fundraise half of that, but I think they got their fair share over the last few years. And they spent more than what they should have this year on their own.
Councilor Stefan.
Yeah, again, it's a great service to have. It's a good, and I said it last meeting, it's really good that we're doing this master plan for community service recreation, because this is truly putting lawn bowling, but it's recreation. It's truly what it is in our municipality. So, how much we put into different things, that can always be in the debate, and how much have they did, but until we really umbrella our whole recreation process, which we're doing now with their recommendations, I think we're always gonna run into different things like this. We have, a couple of individuals who are really aggressive and passionate and, wanting lawn bowlers, so they went ahead, maybe some wires got crossed. They went to the community and tried to raise money, there's no doubt. But we're not gonna be a bank machine and keep funding it so they can have, the best lawn bowling place around, they gotta have something to do it. So I really would love for for them to come out to the community engagement, to talk to the consultants that we're using. And get these curling clubs that are coming, all under one umbrella of recreation for one policy and standard of how we operate in Gurney. So, I think it's unfair that they're getting beat up back and forth, they're told or understood or aggressive, whatever, trying just to get money at any source possible. But ultimately, we can't just keep giving money so they can have the best lawn bowling place in, Huron County. So there's just better direction, better communication, and, I just don't even know why we got a grant and did everything out for all this. If part of our recreation plan said we didn't need the lawn bowling thing here, it could have been over at the arena. We put the cart before the horse, but we're here now. Let's thank them for their time and don't give them any more money at this point.
Councilor McGrath.
Well, the ship sailed because we've done it in the past over and over and over again. We did it soccer club, St. Clemens Soccer. We did it in Brussels with the ball field. We did it in there. We have always had people coming here. Well, we got the machine going and we just didn't want to stop. And now we need this much money. A lot of those people just came to us maybe for a loan, just to pay it, and they would fundraise to repay it. And I would suggest maybe in that case, what the lawn bowling wants to do, we lend them the money, but we don't give them the money. Because there has been a lot of money spent on this building down there. And it is, at the end of the day, it is our building, but, I would recommend from here on out, any service club or anybody who's gonna go on municipal property, come to this table before and spend any money, because, they come at and we normally don't say no. We just don't, you know, because it is an improvement in the community. The ballparks are, the ball, everything's an improvement to the community. But the ones in the past were loaned, at least to my knowledge, they were. And they were paid back, like, 3-4 years for the bigger amounts to come back, but they did fundraise and paid it back. So I would recommend that they get their money as a loan, not as a freebie to be paid back.
I think the one thing we have to clarify though, because I was pretty sure when the gentleman was here, he said they collected enough
They did.
for their portion, but they'd prefer to keep that in the bank in case they wanted to use it for something else. So they went out and got the donations already, but now want to keep it.
That's exactly what they said.
No, maybe they need that money to maintain operations. I don't know. I'm not a lawn bowler. So if that's the case, then it still doesn't hinder us here. You take X amount out of the bank and pay us $2,000 a year or whatever it is, whatever you work out. I know what you're saying. You hear you have the money sitting there to pay it and you want me to pay it for you. I get it. But that money is, maybe that's to help them with, you know, when they're setting up their other stuff. Where the money's gonna come from. So I'm not sure.
I don't wanna,
I get it.
yeah, I don't wanna force staff into spending a whole bunch more time on this. We've got a report for information. And what it comes down to is it's just asking if council plans to do anything with paying any of the bills at this point. How do you want to proceed?
One question.
Diane?
How short?
At this time, sorry, but you're on your own. Too blunt, you know what I mean? Like, we can't, as you said to begin with, you can't ask for forgiveness instead of permission and expect somebody else to pick up your bills. I'd love that. You know,
I can't remember, Larry, whether it was 5 or 9,000. It was
But-
one of those two numbers.
But I guess my concern is, we haven't added everything up here yet,
no,
right?
Yeah, so this,
We're assuming it could be worse because of John's bill and everything once you.
John's bill's in that.
yeah, then John might have a couple extra days of labor and then some late invoices that might trickle in here, but we certainly have the biggest invoices accounted for.
So it is 9,000. Do you figure 6?
Well, I think when he came, he was looking for 50% of those like additional features, which was the
Yeah.
heat pump and the additional flooring. So the sum of those two items, and then he also did, there was lighting done,
Yeah.
is that 12,500 almost. Are those,
But that's final bill, like that's what they're not asking for. I guess it threw me off a little bit where you said, we haven't really sent the bills out because we haven't them all added up yet. But they're added up and they're paid for, so I guess we.
So we, Huron East has.
Yeah.
And so once we get the total amount of what the not ease grant portion was, council already awarded the $5,350 grant to the Long Bowling Club back in March. So then whatever is left over from that total portion, less that 5,300 will be invoiced to the Long Bowling Club.
Approximately second.
so we've already gave.
Well, no, approximately like almost like 19,000.
Say that 19, what does that pertain to, please, the chair?
So currently, the portion of the project, that is not the ease grant is the $24,000. So what was planned originally was the 9850, which is where the 5,300 came from. And then there's this like 12,500 of additionals, which is the flooring, the heat pump and the lighting, which gets you up to just shy of that $24,000.
Councilor
That
Chartrand?
$5,300 that we gave on March 3rd as a part of our grant, that was supposed to be for the flooring and kitchen covers.
The flooring in the kitchen only, and then they
Right.
put the flooring throughout the rest of the building as well.
The grant covered all the new flooring and the new washrooms, and then it ended there. And then they headed from the washrooms all the way to the kitchen.
But what was originally requested in that 9,800, I think, was just the flooring in the kitchen portion.
No, it should have been from the washrooms right straight through to the kitchen.
Was the
Was the
5,300.
Okay.
regardless, it's 24,000 short, 5,000 in, 19,000 short.
And the 5,300 was 50% of what the flooring and the cupboards
That's right.
total was, and that's why they came in and asked for the 50%, because they had 50% of it.
Right.
So the flooring and the cupboards.
I think I have a motion by Councillor Deal.
I don't. It,
Go ahead. Councillor Cole.
Through you, I just wanted to say that it sounds like the project had all kinds of different scope changes to it over time. And if they had, as Councillor McGrath says, they may be putting some of this money aside for other purposes. If they've done fundraising, grant applications, it's not just to put in the bank, it's to do the work that was done. So further to what Councillor Deal said, I don't think we should let it go that way.
It seems a little immoral if you went from business to business or door to door and said, we're doing renovations, can you give us a donation?
It's
And then they keep the donation for doing something down the road. That's not appropriate either.
They never did really give us a financial statement on their bank records, so we don't know how much money they got, really.
To make it easy, then, why don't we just have a motion that at this time, council is not forwarding any more funds? And whether it's next meeting or the meeting after that or whatever, we can get a final total of where everything stands, at least understand.
That sounds, our 2026 budget's already locked in, so nothing will change this year.
That your motion then, Diane?
Thank you.
Second by Councillor Steffer. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Bring your own alcohol. This sounds like a great idea. Yeah, I don't know where council stands with this one. And you know what? It may have worked 20 years ago. I do not think it's good advice for us to even consider doing that nowadays. There's too many ways that the municipality can go south on that one. Councillor Fisher.
I move we maintain the status quo and ignore this stupidity.
Thanks. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor. All those in favor? Motion carried.
That's succinct enough, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. You got the point across. Strategic plan update.
Mostly just an update on the progress of our strategic plan. The only reason I didn't put this on consent was just to authorize that half-day closure on September 29th for an all-staff / council event. Pivoting our all-staff recognition type of events.
Moved by Councillor Morrison, second by Councillor Deal. Any other comments or questions? My only question is when you do the half-day thing, you can't bring all staff in, so how do you manage that?
Yeah. That's always the struggle with all these events. We try and get as many as we can. So we can close where we can, but things like the daycare, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to make it work. Future planning and more advanced, we can probably try and make it work to have most people be able to attend.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Brussels Bangers Cornhole Tournament, Beer Gardens. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Morrison, Councillor Newell. The council has no objection to the Brussels Bangers Cornhole Tournament on September 19th, 2026. All those in favor? Motion carries. Same thing for the Brussels Mushball Tournament on July 24th and 25th. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Steffler, Councillor Newell. The council has no objection to the Brussels Mushball Tournament on July 24th and 25th. All those in favor?
that should be Ethel.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Sorry, yes,
Oh, it's supposed to say Ethel?
it's supposed to be Ethel, yes, sorry, Ethel Minor Ball.
Close.
That was the only one I got.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Seaforth Community Hospital Foundation roadside banner. Mover and seconder, Councillor Steffler, Councillor Fisher. The council has no objection to the Seaforth Community Hospital Radiothon roadside banner being hung for the month of October. All those in favor? Motion carries. Seaforth BIA, Seaforth Car Show Road Closure, mover and seconder, and this for July 26th. Moved by Councillor Chartrand, second by Councillor Deal. That council has no objection to the Seaforth Car Show Road Closure request on July 26th. All those in favor?
It's 25th or 26th?
25th, it says in my back.
Mine says 26th.
That would probably be
25.
administrative error, so
Okay.
go with what the
Whatever the
request.
Saturday is.
Sorry.
25th.
Monday morning.
We're working on 3 different sets of paper. Our deputy mayor's got different stuff on their consent agenda. I can show you. I believe you. It happens. Okay. Did I do all in favor? Let's do it again. Motion carried. Thank you. We are down to council member reports, and I'll go to deputy mayor for Kenny Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We haven't had a county council meeting since we last met here. But I'll tell you a little bit about, we had our emergency planning and training day held on June the 1st. Our emergency for the day was titled, from whiteout to washout. So the scenario was Sunday night, March 7th, 2027. Environment Canada put out a weather watch for snow, fall and cold weather moving in Monday morning. Monday morning came, everything was clear. By lunchtime, we couldn't see anything. Plows were still running, buses were running, sort of before the snow. Anyway, by 12 o'clock, you couldn't see the hand in front of your face. So visibility was a problem. Children were forced to stay at school overnight. Lots of people were stuck on roads and stuff. Our staff were out plowing the best they could. Police were advising to stay off the roads. EMS were just attending only life-threatening calls only. We declared the emergency then on the Tuesday morning. We got through Monday fine, but it just worsened when we needed help from outside of Huron East. That's when we declared an emergency. We needed help to get food to kids and stuff like that, and help to get kids home from school. On about day 5 or 6, I believe, I think it was maybe a good week-long event, or maybe longer, Jessica. Anyway, so the weather decided to change, temperatures began to rise, and we got numerous days of rain. Roads, houses were flooded, roofs were in danger of collapsing because of severe weight from all the snow. And in the end, here in East Town Hall caved in. So it did. So,
Told you to build a new one.
yeah. My thoughts were, I believe the exercise went really well. So it was, there was very few gaps that I seen. Everybody had their position and they give their reports as Jessica called for. So yeah, I think staff in general did an excellent job, so.
That was 1971.
Yes, well, that's what they said. It was mirrored that, you know, they said, did anybody, was 71 or 72? Because that actually did happen because I was in high school in William that day. And the snow moved in that quick, so it did. So out of the 35 buses that made it to William taking kids there on a regular day, there was only 5 buses made it there that morning to get the kids back, and all 5 were from Brussels. So it was, so we buried our bus back in a side road, but we were able to walk home. And the only other thing I want to mention was I attended the FCM conference in Edmonton over the weekend. It was a very good conference. Lots of information to gather, lots of study tours. I went on a tour of Edmonton City Hall and also the recycling tour. I did that as well. We visited a couple of eco stations, and an eco station in Edmonton, they have 5, I guess, across the city servicing about 1.2 million people. And the idea of that is if you have paint, used oil, lights, stuff like that, that you want to get rid of, that you don't want around. Even residential people can bring up to 8 tires there every day to get rid of. It's no cost to the residents at all. I mean, obviously they're paying for it at some point in time, but to go to these sites, there's no cost to it. We visited the recreation center itself. Once again, it was networking that made this conference really stand out for me. You could be sitting at a table for lunch or breakfast, sharing that table with someone from BC, Alberta, Quebec, Maritime provinces, or even some indigenous people there as well. One gentleman I sat beside, he actually flies for what they call it, North Patrol or something, but he patrols north shores of Canada with small planes, watching for Chinese and Russian planes. He doesn't actually intercept, but he passes that word along. He says it's a daily thing. He said it just doesn't get reported daily. But he says, they're up there all the time. So, and it was surprising having lunch and sitting around talking to different people. How different we are, but how much our concerns and things are all the same. All the way from lack of funds from province or feds, and it didn't matter what province, they were all the same. Healthcare, homelessness, downloading of services, it was all right there. So anyway, if you ever get a chance to go, I would advise you to go. It's quite good, so it is. Thanks.
Thanks for that. Are there any other boards, committees, meetings, or seminars, Councillor Wilby?
Yes, I attended the Pride Day opening ceremonies in Goderich and brought greetings from Huron East. They have a new event area, which is behind the Park House instead of downtown in the square. And so it's back in the park there. It was very family oriented and lots of family in attendance. So.
Did I see a hand over here? Nope. Okay. Are there any requests by members at this time? Councillor Fisher.
I have three, if I may, Mr. Mayor, please. Coyotes, it's not my favorite topic, but it's been brought to my attention again. Right behind my house in my neighborhood, people, I don't know when, this spring, they had 3 AM, they had 3 coyotes on their front porch trying to drive their dog nuts, and these same coyotes had tried to lure their dog away. And my next door neighbor has had the same thing happen again. Broad daylight. The first people I mentioned, they have a 7 and a 10-year-old children at home outside playing. I'm concerned, and I know you took it to county and got nowhere last year, but I sure hope you and Deputy Mayor could take it back to county, or just if there's something we could do. I'm afraid something's gonna happen when you hear about a 5-year-old boy getting attacked by a coyote in Toronto, and a 16-year-old the same. I think it's gonna happen here. I'm very concerned about it, and when they're up on the front porch, that's scary.
My understanding, the bylaw actually has provisions if in fact they are in a residential area.
Yes.
There
I
are,
don't know what they are.
yeah, I can't tell you exactly what they are, but there are options to take actions at that point.
But is it up to the municipality, Mr. Mayor, or is it up to the homeowner? You don't want the homeowners walking around with 22.
No. I think we'd like the homeowner to notify the municipality, and then we'll
Well, they
we'll-
did.
well, if they have notified you, then they certainly should be phoning the office, and we'll have to find out what course of action is available to us. But if they're in a residential area and considering a risk to human health, then we do have the ability to take action. I don't know what those steps are at the moment off the top of my head, but it does allow for that.
If somehow either through county or through CEO or clerk, if we could find that out, please. Okay. Then the other one was, I forgot to mention it 2 meetings ago, listening to AMO report, the federal government. I'm pretty sure they said they had $53 billion they were going to give to the provinces for infrastructure and housing over the next 10 years. And I didn't know if someone could check into that for us and see if we could piggyback that onto our sewage treatment plant improvements. And part of that, I've had 2 or 3 people in Egmontville with old septic systems, 40, 50, 60 years old. In the last couple of weeks asked me what's going on with sewers, because their septic systems are at the end of their life, and they don't really want to spend $25,000 and then spend 37 or whatever to hook up the sewers in 3 or 4 years. So if something could be done with that federal grant and where are we at on Egmanville sewers? Please, thank you.
The Egmanville sewer, we can get an update at the water and sewer committee meeting. It's been a long time since we talked about it, at least 2 or 3 months, if not more. And unfortunately, that $53 billion works out to about 500 million in a year for the entire province, which that still sounds like a lot, but it doesn't go very far.
Yeah, I did the numbers as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
Thanks.
And I can just give a brief update on that, like, there is a current grant right now on it with housing enabling, but you have to have one of the stipulations is a DC reduction, the development charges reduction, which we currently don't have in Huron East. And you are unable to stack it with any other housing enabling grants, which is what our sewage treatment plan is. So the current active one they have, we would not be eligible for.
Can't figure out.
Correct, you can't stack, yeah.
So
That's the current one. There could be future ones that come that could be eligible for, but that current one that where applications are open for, we would not be eligible.
Thank you.
That was coyotes and that was grants, Bob. You said you had 3.
Got sewers.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do you have one, Councilor McGrath?
Just for the coyote thing, the only option we got really, if it's like sighting, you almost have to have a hunter on speed dial that somebody calls the town hall and they gotta be, because they don't hang around there all day, and you don't want every homeowner with a gun.
Right.
I don't know how else you're gonna trapper. No.
Not on the front porch.
No kind of traffic in the for a coyote. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but I'm just making the comment that you'd almost have to have somebody like ready to go right now to that location and after. Or let them loose in the bush. But I think did they not do that once, your worship?
They have. Especially if there's been multiple kills on livestock, they will allow hunters to go out. I think it's very prescribed about how many they can get and so on and so forth, and within a certain radius. The unfortunate part about that is my understanding of coyotes is they will only breed and raise enough each year that the area will support. So if you kill a bunch of them off, then the ones that are still left around will actually breed more the next year, which makes it really hard to solve a revolving door problem.
Well, we did have a counselor one time that actually had a license to shoot coyotes. He counselor Steve.
I think most countries would.
But in our urban areas.
Yeah, not on people's front porches. Are there any other requests by members at this time? Seeing none, are there any notices of motion? Any announcements? I got one. I haven't looked at the email yet. How many people have applied so far for the positions around the table?
3.
3, okay. Very good number, yes.
We've had a lot of people inquiring,
There's 4.
for nomination packages.
There's 4 that applied out there. John, Bob, and Alvin.
So you've got a bunch of people that are inquiring about it though?
Yes.
Okay.
So
That's
we've
good.
had some interest in picking up nomination package, but it's good.
Are there any announcements by any members of council? None? Okay, we are down to bylaws.
I was just thinking
Sorry.
other business, if we wanted to make a decision on the porta potty request from the delegate.
Oh, yes, that would be good. You know, I appreciate the fact that they come in, they ask for it. It's not a big ask, and it not only serves their group, but as they said, other people in the community. It's probably a very good thing to do. Move on, Councillor Stepler.
Yeah, the porta potty's already there. I drove by the other, just after church.
I just want to get paid.
So,
Oh,
that's.
so they already brought in, they're just asking for 2 months.
I think it must be, yeah.
Okay, it's second by Councillor Stepler.
That would come out of our grant fund.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. reminding us about that. Mover and a seconder for bylaw 39. Councillor Morrison, Deputy Mayor, a bylaw to provide assessment report Watson Municipal Drain 2026 be given third and final reading. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moved by Councillor Deal, second by Councillor Wilby, that bylaw 59 of 2026, a bylaw temporarily stop up and close Gavin Lock Street be passed. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Moved by Councillor Steffler, second by Councillor Chartrand, that bylaw 60 of 2026, a bylaw amend zoning at 76 Horts Drive, Brussels be passed. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor McGrath, second by Councillor Fisher, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 61 of 2026, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council be passed. All those in favor? Motion carries. And this is a new one, moved by Councillor Newell and second by Councillor Dalton, that we adjourn at 7:35 p.m.